you need to spend at least a good month, if not just your first year of time, just getting back to being a family and what that looks like, because you're changing the dynamic.
We talked about setting that foundation. We talked about HSLDA and knowing what your state laws are and really knowing the why of homeschooling. What would be the next thing that parents need to consider when homeschooling?
Here's the thing is that I'm going to speak to the families. Okay, so if you are pulling your kid out of school, so you already have kids in school and now you're going to be homeschooling them at home. Honestly, one of the biggest recommendations I have, and it was something that was told to me when we first started homeschooling, is we pulled it was a kindergartner and a first grader out of school, is you need to spend at least a good month, if not just your first year of time, just getting back to being a family and what that looks like, because you're changing the dynamics. And so
Yeah.
sometimes you don't even need to homeschool with curriculum, and that blows people's mind. I mean, math is one of those things, like math and like phonics, like learning to read and math are two things that are helpful to have some curriculum, but there's so many ways to learn that's kind of a little unschooling. So you might be, if you're one of those parents, you're like, yeah, that's all nice and pretty, Kristi, but I need curriculum. Then there is curriculum out there. But I just want people to know that you can homeschool and kind of do it the easy way. You can study science by looking out and seeing what the weather is, track the weather, see what that looks like, compare the weather to your area to other areas. That's learning science. Maybe go to the library, check out some books on weather. You can pick up a rock and see what's underneath it and study that. We tend to kind of study what's around us. So we have hummingbirds that are constantly building nests in our yard. So we did a whole little unit study on hummingbirds. And for those of you that I just dropped a word that is a homeschoolese word, unit studies, that's simply taking a subject and building curriculum around that. So, and not like official curriculum, but you're taking something like a hummingbird, and I'm going to find, some books about hummingbirds. I'm going to learn science. Maybe there's not so much history around hummingbirds, but sometimes there is. You'd be surprised. Like with cats, you can study the history of cats in Egypt, cats in other countries. So there's so many fun ways to really learn how to learn. And that would be my encouragement to families, is don't feel bogged down by all of the choices that you have. And sometimes that is just what you need. You need a gentle start. Open your Bible, maybe get, there's some great missionary books out there. YWAM has a whole series of missionary books that we really enjoy. One of my favorite books is, I'm about to blank on it. I need to go get it. It's Hero Tales. That's the name of it. Hero Tales. And it's just snippets of different missionary lives. And they also have like a character study on there. So when you learn about missionaries, you can learn about the countries that they're from. What are some of the unique things that are happening there? What are some cultures and, customs of those things? Find them on a map. So there's so many ways. When you start homeschooling, you really learn how to make it a lifestyle. So that's my encouragement to those who are pulling their kids out. If you're pulling your kids out of high school, then, or you're pulling them out and starting into high school, you do need to be more deliberate. I would say like second, third grade down, you can totally be relaxed about your start for homeschooling. Just stick to the basics, have fun with it. But then if you're homeschooling, like even junior high to high school, you can definitely, because especially for high school, you're building a transcript. And so that's just it. Right. I mean, as scary as it might sound, you are calling up HSLDA, looking on their website, finding out. And again, HSLDA is Homeschool Legal Defense Association. There are lawyers in the homeschooling realm, and they'll show you exactly what's required in your state law to graduate your child. And it will blow your mind. It will blow your mind. Yeah. Because we got used, I was just sharing this with someone today at coffee, that when we go through high school, we think, 4 years of English, 4 years of science, 4 years of math. And it's shocking that in California, at least, it's like 2 to 3 years of English, 2 years of math, 2 years of science, and they graduate. I mean, it is crazy to see what's required in your state. And so that's all you're paying attention to, is what's required, and then have fun with it. And another important part of starting off is, what are your kids interested in, and learn about that. And that is going to spark their interest. So when I first told the kids, because we were, a few weeks into the school and they're having fun at recess and all that. And so like my oldest was like, more time to read. Okay. Let's homeschool. I can read all day.
Yeah.
And then my second at the time, he was like, but I just want to play soccer all day. Like, can I do that? And then I was like, well, no, we can't do soccer all day. We can play more soccer than you can do at school. But he was so cute. So I'm like, so what do you think? He's like, can we do a volcano? And I was like, absolutely. We are going to build a volcano. So we ended up doing this cute little unit study on Hawaii. So we learned about Hawaiian culture. We happened to have a Hawaii vacation that we were tying it into. So we went to Hawaii. We took microscopes in Hawaii and learned about the sun and how intense it is. And I brought chocolate. And I learned, this is like this cute little science project I read about. And I learned you should always bring extra chocolate for your children to eat, because as we were burning, I was showing like how intense the sun is when it goes through the microscope, and it burned the chocolate. And they're like, that's cool, but can we eat it? I'm like, sorry. So bring extra chocolate. That's my hack for you.
And for mom too.
And yes, that's a must. So homeschooling and chocolate go very closely together. Yes. But no, just figure out what your kids are passionate about and what they're interested in learning. We did, because I had little boys at the start of our homeschool journey. So we did nights. And so we studied the medieval period, and we learned about all these crazy things. And we did Egypt, because Egypt's a fun thing to learn about with boys. And so just find what they're interested in. And as you're building, when you go into high school, what's amazing is how, it takes, like however many thousand of hours to become an expert at something. We have that opportunity to do that in our homeschools because our kids have more time. We're not spending all of the changing class periods, changing teacher time. We're in there, we get it done. We're usually done by lunch. My high schoolers go a little bit beyond lunch, typically. But my oldest has a passion for reading and for writing. And so I just let him go in that area. We centered a lot of his homeschooling around writing. He wrote 2 novels by the time he was 17. He didn't publish them, but he wrote 2 novels, which is a huge undertaking. Then my second, who we graduated, he had a real passion and affinity and just an inspiration with photography. And so he was always ready for it. It rained. He was like out the door with his camera. He wanted to catch like the dewdrops and the raindrops falling off the flowers. And so we just were able to really get him involved in learning about that. And now he's a professional photographer. And my oldest son is working, and he's doing copy editing with his job. And so it's just so cool to see how you can really look for these strengths. You can build up the weaknesses, but look for those strengths and pour into them and just let them flourish. And that's something that you can't do in other things. So I'm hoping that by saying all that, like, it will really encourage people that you have to take off these, like, well, what are they learning in public school? I need my homeschool to look like the public school.
Right.
This is your school. And honestly, we can say that until we're blue in the face. It'll take 3 years. This is just honest to goodness. 3 years of homeschooling before you go, I don't care what the public schools are doing. This is my homeschool. And it's fine. Like, just breathe a little, but just keep reminding yourself that Kristi and Yvette told you that this is your homeschool and you can design it the way you want to. It doesn't need to look like the public school system.
Homeschool Insights is sponsored by CTC Math. If you're looking for a great online math program, visit ctcmath.com and try it for free. For more great homeschool inspiration and resources, listen to the Schoolhouse Rocked podcast every Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday.